I used to think I slept like a rock. No nightmares, no sleepwalking, no weird habits. Then one morning, I woke up with mud on my feet. The problem was, I hadn't left my bedroom all night. At least, that's what I thought. So I bought a camera and decided to record myself sleeping for 30 days. For the first 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then, on night 16, I saw something on the footage that made my blood run cold. At exactly 3:14 a.m., my bedroom door slowly opened. Someone stood there, watching me, and they stayed there for almost 20 minutes. The worst part? I lived alone. If you enjoy mysterious stories with twists you never see coming, subscribe to Leon Drama Stories, because tonight's story still makes me lock my bedroom door. And trust me, it only gets stranger from here. My name is Daniel, and this happened last year. I had just moved into a small house outside the city. It wasn't anything special, but after years of living in apartments, I wanted some peace and quiet. The house had belonged to an elderly man who had passed away. His children sold it quickly, and I got it for a surprisingly low price. Too low, honestly, but I didn't ask questions. The first few weeks were perfect. Then strange things started happening. I would wake up exhausted. Not tired, exhausted, as if I hadn't slept at all. Some mornings my closet door would be open. Other mornings, my kitchen chairs would be moved. I blamed myself. Maybe I was forgetting things. Maybe I was stressed. Then came the muddy footprints. I woke up and saw dirt on my bedroom floor. There was mud on my feet. I checked every door and window. Everything was locked. I couldn't explain it. That's when I bought the camera. I mounted the camera on a shelf facing my bed. Every morning before work, I'd watch the footage. Night 1, nothing. Night 2, nothing. Night 3, I snored. Night 4, I talked in my sleep. Embarrassing, but harmless. A week passed. Then 2, I almost gave up. I actually thought about returning the camera. Then came night 16. I remember that morning clearly. I was drinking coffee while watching the footage. The timestamp reached 3:14 a.m., and my bedroom door moved. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Then it opened wider. Someone was standing there. I nearly dropped my mug. The figure didn't enter, didn't speak, didn't move. They just stood there, watching me sleep. I stared at the screen. 20 seconds. 1 minute. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. The figure never moved. After 19 minutes, the door slowly closed. I watched the clip 3 more times. I lived alone. No one had a key. I checked every room in my house. Nobody was there. I called the police. 2 officers arrived. I showed them the footage. One of them frowned. Looks like someone wearing dark clothes. The other officer asked if I had enemies. I laughed. I worked in accounting. The most dangerous thing in my life was my internet bill. They searched the house. Nothing. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints. No evidence. One officer suggested I might have been sleepwalking and opening the door myself. I showed him the video. I was clearly asleep in bed. He didn't have an answer. Before leaving, they advised me to change my locks. I changed every lock that same day. I even installed another camera in my hallway. I thought the problem was solved. I was wrong. 2 nights later, the figure returned. 3:14. I am. The door opened. The same person stood there, watching me. But this time, something was different. The figure took 1 step forward. Then, another. I couldn't breathe while watching the footage. The person slowly walked to the side of my bed and just stood there, looking down at me, for 30 minutes. I turned off the video. I couldn't watch anymore. I felt sick. That evening, I stayed at a hotel. I didn't go back to my house for 2 days. Eventually, I convinced myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe someone had hidden inside the house. Maybe it was a prank. I returned. Big mistake. I checked the second camera, the hallway camera. I expected to see someone entering my room. Instead, I saw something impossible. At 3:13 a.m., my bedroom door opened, and the figure stepped out. Not in, out. I watched the clip again. The person came from my bedroom. Then, 1 minute later, the same figure went back inside. I froze. How could someone come out of my bedroom when I had been sleeping in there? There was no closet big enough to hide in, no attic, no basement, no secret room. I checked every inch of that house. Nothing. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I called the previous owner's daughter. I needed answers. At first, she didn't want to talk. Then, I mentioned the footage. There was a long silence. Finally, she said something strange. "You're not the first person." I felt my stomach drop. She explained that two families had bought the house before me. Neither stayed longer than a month. One family claimed they heard footsteps every night. Another said they saw someone standing in their bedroom. I asked who. She didn't know. Then she said something I'll never forget. "My father used to sleepwalk." I frowned. "So?" "He would stand beside people's beds and watch them sleep." I felt ice run through my veins. "People's beds?" She took a deep breath. "My father ran a boarding house years ago. The guests complained that he would watch them while they slept." I didn't know what to say. Then she added one final detail. "He died in your bedroom." I didn't believe in ghosts. I still don't. But I packed a bag. I was leaving. As I carried my suitcase through the hallway, something caught my eye. A scratch on the wall. Then another. I looked closer. There was a tiny gap. I pushed against the wall. A small hidden door opened. Behind it was a narrow room. No windows. No furniture. Just dust. And a chair. The chair faced a small hole in the wall. I looked through it. It led directly into my bedroom. Someone could sit there and watch the bed. My heart nearly stopped. Then I noticed something else. Fresh footprints. Someone had been there recently. Very recently. I backed away slowly. Then I heard a noise. Behind me, a floorboard creaked. I turned around, and there was an old man standing in the doorway. I nearly screamed. The man looked about 70. Gray hair. Thin. Pale. He stared at me. Then he smiled. "I was wondering when you'd find this room." I couldn't move. "Who are you?" He stepped closer. "I used to live here." I realized something. This wasn't a ghost. This was the previous owner's brother. The daughter had never mentioned him. He explained everything. After his brother died, he secretly continued living in the hidden room. The family didn't know. Nobody knew. He would leave at night, eat from the kitchen, and hide during the day. The previous owners moved away so quickly that nobody discovered him, including me. I couldn't believe it. Then he said something that made my skin crawl. "You sleep exactly like my brother." I slowly backed away. He took another step. "I like watching you sleep." I ran. I dropped my suitcase and sprinted through the house. The old man followed. I reached the front door. Locked. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't get the key in. I heard footsteps behind me. Then a voice. "Please don't leave." I finally unlocked the door and ran outside. Straight to my car. I called the police. This time they found him. He didn't resist. He simply sat in the hidden room, staring through the hole. The police later discovered he'd been living there for nearly 7 years. 7 years. No one had found him. No one had known. A month later, I sold the house. I never wanted to see it again. I moved into an apartment downtown. I finally felt safe. Then one evening, I received a package. No return address. Inside was a USB drive. I plugged it into my computer. There was one video file. I clicked play. The footage showed me sleeping in my new apartment, recorded only 2 nights earlier. I stopped breathing. Then the screen went black. Words appeared. "You still sleep exactly like him." I called the police immediately. They traced the package. The old man had escaped from a psychiatric facility 3 days earlier. They never found him. And sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I don't open my eyes right away, because I'm afraid that if I do, Someone might be standing beside my bed, watching me sleep. If this story gave you chills, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Leon Drama Stories for more mysterious and emotional stories every week. And before you go, tell me in the comments, would you ever watch footage of yourself sleeping after seeing something like this? Sleep well tonight. And remember, before you turn off the lights, take one last look at your bedroom door.